In this video, we're going to create a cover letter. But why do we need a cover letter in order to apply for a job? Well, it provides the hiring manager with further detail on how your skill set aligns with the role, what you can bring to the team, and why you want the position. Also allows them to develop a better understanding of your sustainability for a position. So you need to structure it in such a way that you're going to persuade the person reading the cover letter to go look at your resume or the CV. All right, let's begin.
And then the first thing that we would need on a cover letter would be a person's address, the one sending the letter, right? Okay, this is a business letter since we're going to use it to apply for a job. So I already have the address, everything that I need that has to be typed. I pre-typed it and I'm just gonna go get it just to save time. Okay, so there we have the person's address. So what I want to do here is to create a cover letter or a letterhead, sorry, out of this, okay? So I will just font format, Susan Thomas, size 16, give it a color blue, also bold. And then the other thing that I want is a border between Susan Thomas and the rest of the text. That would be the date there, okay? We already know where to get borders. That would be from the design tab, okay? When you get to design tab, right at the end there would be page borders. But please do notice when you get it from there, that's a page border, not a paragraph border. So that means whatever border that we apply there will be on the rest of the page. So what we want is a paragraph border, not the page border. So when you get there, you would have to remember to move away from a page border tab and select the borders tab. Okay, an alternative place to get that is from the home tab. We go home, paragraph grouping, right at the end there, there's your borders. Okay, so this one, when you go down to borders and shade you, takes you directly to paragraph border rather than the page border. Okay, I want a certain line, a single line. The color, it's okay in black for now. And the width, I want it at 3 point. It's a bit thick. Okay, I want this border to be right underneath Susan Thomas there. Okay, so that means on the right hand side here on the preview, I'm just going to click underneath. Okay, so when I say okay, that border will be applied on Susan Thomas. How does it know that it has to be on underneath Susan Thomas? Because when I applied the border, I had Susan Thomas selected. Okay, so that means if my insertion point was here, it was going to be underneath the email address there. Okay, and then with the address as well as email address, I don't like the spacing between. So I'm just gonna go remove the spacing after. Okay, and then I want to right align this text. That's the address as well as the contact details in general. I will just right align it. See, that looks fine for me. Remember, you can still put the text there, the second line right underneath 1639 if you have decided on a certain tab stop. Okay, I've just right aligned mine. According to me, that still looks fine. But if you want it to be on a certain line, that's when you apply your tab stop. And then if I was typing this and I say enter, something wrong there just happened. Okay, so Microsoft Word now just recognized this as an email address and hyperlinked it. Okay, what an hyperlink means, it means this is linked to some application. So if I had an application, an email application that's installed on this computer, what I can then do with a hyperlinked email, as soon as you click on it, if you go on it, then that mouse cursor would have changed to a hand. This just looks like that. We don't see that hand because that means there's no application installed here. Okay, so if I click on it, then it will automatically open that application, would have put that email address on the address for you. Okay, just always remember professional documents such as your CV, resume, or even a cover letter like this, you're not allowed to hyperlink email addresses. It can even be a web address. You don't hyperlink things. Okay, so how do we remove that hyperlink then? You go back to it, you right click and you say remove hyperlink. So next, so this is what we just created. We call it a letterhead. If you have a picture of yourself, you can put it there. So the next thing that we're going to do is to insert a current date. This you already know, obviously. So this date, we want it in the format like that. So what if a question wants a date in a format like that? So this is a full date, right? Day, space, month, space, years. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Where do we get our date? From the Insert tab, we go for date and time. And then I will tell you on a test or a practical whether you should use South African English or the United States one. So there's the date format. Day, space, month, space, year. Okay. And then when we say update automatically, that means every time I open this document, it will be the current date. Even though I created it on the 10th of May, because I said update automatically, when I open this tomorrow, it will say 11th of May 2022. Okay, so I want to create this, save it as a template. Let's say I'm a new graduate now, I'm applying for a job. So that means since I'm Susan Thomas, this is my contact details. This is what's going to stay the same for all the letters I'm sending to different companies applying for a job too. Okay, but I don't want to start from scratch every time I have to send out a CV or apply for a job, starting from Susan Thomas, creating a letterhead, okay, because that will remain the same. So I'm going to save this as a Word template. We go to File, we say Save As, okay. So now you don't have to choose a location, because now when you save as a Word template, Microsoft Office saves it automatically where they want it for you. So it becomes part of the Word application, not the computer's memory. Okay, so now what we're going to change here is the Save As type. You open on the arrow that's on the right hand side, and you're going to change from Word document to a Word template. So this is a .x. Okay, and then let's just give it a different name. We will say TU2, and when we say save. Okay, so let's close this. Let's say now you're applying for another job, you're done with that one. Okay, obviously now that has to stay the same. You will change the content of the letter itself. So when we now open Word, right there before we say blank, we want a template that we personally created. You'll see when you open, before you decide on anything, there are templates that are featured by Microsoft Office. You'll get your calendar, there will be a resume there that was published by Microsoft, just an example of a resume, and then so on. So, and they have flyers and things like this. There's a party invitation. So those are the ones that are featured by Microsoft Office. So that means you never have to start anything from scratch. You can just go check what is it that they have, and then you work on it. Okay. The ones that you personally created would be on inside the personal. Okay. We go personal. We named this TU2, and then you can start just working from there. All right. So now that we have, but remember we set update automatically. If I open this in August, it will be the new date. Okay. Enter. I'm now going to insert the address of the person we are sending this letter to. This is McDonald. Okay, let me just make sure that the formatting is the same. Okay. The date doesn't matter. So now we need to impress Mr. Donald. We have to push him to go look at our resume. So we start with Dear Mr. Donald. I'm just making everything Arial. Okay, what do we want to say to Mr. Donald? Already typed. So we are saying, I am writing to express my interest in HR generalist position at NHRS. My enclosed resume details specific information regarding my background. Okay, we are mentioning that there's a resume that goes with this letter. So if they want more information about you, they will get it on that resume. Okay, that obviously that's not enough. So through education and work experience, I believe that I excel in the following areas. Let's say the following areas, we want them tabulated. We want this information in a 2x4 table. So remember now, this is your cover letter. You would decide whether you want such information listed, or do you want it on a tabbed table or on a normal table. Okay, obviously if you're doing this on a personal level, when you're applying for something, it has to be to your liking. Okay, so this is something that I would put inside a table and use table styles. Okay, so I already typed a table. You worked with tables last week, so this is not new. There I have my table. Okay, and then you can contact me by email as this. I am available for an interview at your convenience, and we have to salute yours sincerely. So this is where you identify yourself, right? And then you leave a space for your signature. We are Susan Thomas now. And then what does enclosure mean on a letter? You don't type in that part enclosure to all letters. You only type enclosure at the end if the letter has something accompanying it. In our case, we do have a resume that they need to look at it, and just at the end, then we remind them that there's an enclosure, something is enclosed with this letter that they need to go look at, right? So, but now, before we send this letter, they wouldn't even look at our resume. It just has a whole lot of mistakes. You see that, right? The first thing that we notice that there are spelling and grammar errors. So there are some letters or some words that are underlined in red. There are some underlined in turquoise. That's not professional. They wouldn't even bother going to check the CV. If something as a cover letter has so many mistakes, why should we bother checking the CV? Maybe the CV is even worse, okay? And also here on the status bar, you see there's a little book on the left-hand side. It has a course underneath it. That is an incorrect mark. When you just know with that incorrect mark that there's something wrong with spelling and grammar. And if you put your insertion point on it, it does tell you that word found proofing errors. That's spelling and grammar. Okay. You can go waste your time, especially if it is the let's say it's your assignment, it's 10 pages long, and you made spelling errors while you were typing. Remember, on a computer, there's no need for you to be worrying about spelling and grammar. You just type. You'll come and finish, just fix at the end, right? But it's going to be a waste of time now to go for each and every word, right-click, and then change. What you can do is put your insertion point right at the beginning there. And then on the ribbon, go inside Review tab and say Spelling and Grammar. So automatically it's going to start from Susan Thomas and just go and check all the pages one by one for you. Okay, so Review, Spelling and Grammar, and then it picked up a mistake from that paragraph that's under Dear Mr. Donald. Okay, position, what did we want on any of this? We wanted position, and you say change. So, and then it will pick up, let's say the name Masabata, that it will pick up as a spelling mistake because Masabata is not an English language. So that's when you would say ignore, because that is a name that you want there, just a different name from English. Okay. And then here I have skills unique that qualify me for this position. That for we typed in twice by mistake. We just go remove it and we resume. Spelling and grammar. Recognition, we meant to say recognition change. And then what's the problem there? In college, I end up playing a place on the dean's list several semesters. There's a space there. I pressed space twice by mistake. So it picked it up, and then we can say change. Okay, it's also complaining about this one here. It is a by, and then a grammar also. I am available for an interview. Spelling and grammar check, complete. And then notice that on that book again now from a course, or do we call it an X, to a check mark, and it's saying no proofing errors. And then you know that you're not having any spelling and grammar errors. Another thing that I just noticed here is that we just disrespected that company by abbreviating them. We are applying for a job here, but we didn't take time to go research about them and be respectful enough to refer to them as their full name. Okay, that wouldn't be right, right? But just in case that I did this somewhere else on the document, I'm going to make use of what we call find and replace. What find and replace will then do will go inside through the entire document, find anything that is NHRS and replace it with what I want. Okay, once again, I'm going to position my insertion point at Susan Thomas so that you can start checking from the very first line. Where's find and replace? On the home tab. Home tab, right at the end on the editing grouping, we have replace. When you click on replace, you're going to get your find and replace dialog box. What do we want this file to find? The word NHRS. When it finds it, it should replace it with the word next. Head. Resort, okay, resort and spa. There we are. So we don't want one replacement. We wanted to go check the entire document for that word and replace all of them. You will notice that we have another one here, okay? So that means we have to say replace all. And then it found and made 2 replacements. You say, okay, close. You'll see that it replaced it here as well as there. But I didn't mean for it to be capital letters. Doesn't even make sense that everything else you see with them, with that it's capital letters, small letters, capital letters, small letters. And that's not even what I typed. I typed capital letter, small letters, capital letters, small letters, right? But what it did, it just picked that NHRS was in capital letter and it decided, let me capitalize everything. We don't want that. So we wanted to keep the case that we typed. Okay, where did we find replace? Home. Right at the end on editing grouping, we say replace. So now I'm going to click on the more button. And then there's an option there, a checkbox that says match case. So when we say match case, it's going to check my casing and match it exactly as it is. Okay, and then we still say replace all, okay. And then we can close this. So now you'll see that it's replacing it exactly as I type it with the casing that I used. Okay, we are happy with that. And then let's check. I'm writing to express my interest there. My enclosed remedy details specific regarding my background. We are happy with that. But now as delineated, what is that? That's a difficult word. You are trying to impress an HR specialist. They are not English people. What if this is a Xhosa person that didn't even do English as their first language? But they have to actually invite you for an interview and they don't understand that difficult word delineated. They won't even look at your resume. They don't have time to go check the dictionary as to what you mean by delineated. They're just going to push it on the side and move on to the next one. So you are recommended to use a simple, everyday used English language, right? So we don't know what delineated is, but Wes had what we call Thesaurus. This can actually give you the synonyms of this word. Synonym means a word that means exactly the same, but worded differently. Okay, so where do we get Thesaurus? I have delineated, highlighted, and then on the review tab again, right next to spelling and grammar, that's where you're going to find your Thesaurus. Okay, so it will give you the synonyms of the word. So we could have said defined. That's an easy word. We've had defined before, outlined, described, or explained. You'll see from demarcated, then those are difficult words. So we can go for any of these here. Let's use outlined. It's still an everyday used language, but it sounds more business-like than defined, right? But anybody that did English at high school will understand what outlined means. And then we go on the arrow that is on the right-hand side. There, click on it and we say insert. We can copy that word, but we just want to insert. But where will it insert? It's going to check on the document and see what is it that was highlighted. I highlighted delineated, so when I come and say insert, it removes delineated and replaces it with outlined. Okay. So alternatively, where do I find that? If I want to save time and I don't want to make use of a ribbon, right click. That's an obvious, right? So on a right click, I go on that word and then I find the synonyms there. And then we can still say outlined. Okay. And then now, what if I want you to, on a test or a practical, I want you to find a synonym of a certain word, but this word is on the 6th page. Are you now going to go read from Susan Thomas, page 2, page 3, trying to find this word? That wouldn't make sense, right? It wouldn't make sense. Just remember that that word has that function find, just to find a certain word in the entire document. Okay. If I go and say experience X, it's already picking up all the words that start with EX. P, and then there's the word there. Okay, so there's no need for you to be reading the entire document. Okay, and if you don't remember, if it's on home find, the short key method of it is Control F on the keyboard. You can always try the short key methods. So normally it will be Control with the first letter of the word. Like if I want to select all the text, Control A. Okay, so now I want to find, I want to activate the find box. I say Control F, and then it's also activated. Okay, let's continue. And then now we are happy with outlined. I have skills unique that qualify me. That doesn't read well. It's going to sound better if we say I have unique skills that qualify me, right? But there's no need for me now to go delete that, go where I want it and start typing it again. What I can do is cut it, right click, cut, and then I can paste it there. Right click, paste, or control. On the keyboard is Control X for cut, Control V for paste. And then the easiest of them all is just dragging and dropping. Even copy and paste wouldn't make sense because you would still have to go delete unique. It's either cut and paste or you drag and drop. That's the quickest way. How do we drag and drop? While we have unique selected, you left click and hold your mouse, and then you drag it to the left of skills. So now I have unique skills that qualify me for this position. Okay, and the table, okay, so notice now this table has some spacing around, and then I also have preparation and delivery. Maybe I don't even want that delivery underneath, I just want it on one line. Okay, then remember this icon on the top left-hand corner of the table allows us to select the entire table without having to just select and break down. Okay, one click on that icon selects the entire table. Okay, so on the table tools now, on the layout tab, I can auto fit my text. Okay, we can auto fit this to window. Notice now that the only thing that's stopping my table is the margins. So it's just auto fitting it to window. So the width is just expanded to the margins. Okay, and then now we have these letters right on the right hand side. But what if I don't want that space in there on the communication skills? So if you don't want that, then you can auto fit it to the content. Then it just wraps itself around the text rather than the window itself. Okay, so obviously that will be a personal choice, but be it the window or around the text, it looks better than before. Okay, so that will be a personal choice. And then what else can we do to the table? I think I'm going to change this design. Okay, let me go for that design there. And then another thing that I want it center aligned there. Okay, so now it's a test or a practical, and I tell you to align. You're working with the table, and then you see the word align. Immediately you stop, you check what alignment. Is it the alignment of the text inside the table, or is it the alignment of the table itself? You'll see the alignment, the one that we are used to here. It's moving the table itself, the entire table, right? Moving it left, center, or right. But if I wanted you to align the text inside the table, not the table, it will be the alignment on the layout tab. There's alignment there. So if I now say center, what just moved? The text inside the table, not the table, right? That text just moved to the right-hand side. So just remember, as soon as you are working in a table and I say align, you stop and check which alignment. Is it alignment of the table or the alignment of the text inside the table? If it's alignment of the table, it's the normal one that we used to. If it's the alignment of the text inside the table, it's that alignment that is inside the layout tab. Okay, I think I'm happy with that table. And then let's continue. You can contact me by email here. I'm available for an interview. That doesn't read well. This would read well if we say we are available for an interview. This is where you can contact me, right? So the whole sentence, I'm available for an interview, has to come before the you can contact me. So I'm not going to cut and paste. I'm just gonna drag and drop. Okay, while it's selected, how do we drag and drop? You left click, hold, and then just drag it just before the entire table. I think it's quicker than even a cut and paste. What's missing there? It looks fine. I think I'm happy.
So now I'm going to give you a tip on how to insert an electronic signature. So what you can do with your phone or any camera is to take a picture of your signatures. Just make sure that when you write your signature, you write it on a white page and that the camera is of good quality. Then you can save it anywhere on your computer. So now, let's say I have this picture already taken and saved. I'm now going to go and insert it. Insert pictures, this device, can go search for it and then insert. So there I have my signature. So next I'm going to change the layout options of that picture. Where do I do that? On that little icon that is on the top right hand corner of that picture. Okay, so as soon as I click on it, I get text wrappings. So I'm just going to select the one that says behind text. Okay, so this allows that picture, that signature, to be just behind text, and I am able to move it accordingly. So I will just put it right there on the signature space, and then it looks like, let's just create more space in there. Move it again, and there it looks like we just signed. That is the end of the video. Do remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you do not miss the next lesson. Bye.